So usually people start research, we'll be looking at what research is, why we carry out research, the qualities of good research, and things like that. So that is basically what we are going to look at in this session. But before I look into that, for me, research is everything. Research is everything. Without research, there is no progress that you can make or that the humankind can make. So I want to implore you to love, first of all, love research. Love research. As we shall see later on, that for you to be a good researcher, you should have certain attributes. You should have certain attributes. That is, you should have some characteristics. So you need to develop the right mentality, the right attitude towards the research. Develop the right attitude towards the research. Be good consumers of research. Good consumers of research. Okay? So you may not be a good generator of research, but you can be a good user of research. When you're a good user of research, then you become highly informed, and then you can have discussions that are highly informative, and that is how your future can be shaped. Okay? I think I've provided enough motivation for you for taking research seriously. Okay, so let's start. So we start by understanding what research is. In all the definitions of research that we have, the key thing is that research is systematic. And if you look at these definitions, you can see that in almost, we have 5 definitions. 5 definitions. The first definition, it is the systematic inquiry or investigation to discover and interpret facts, revise theories, or apply new knowledge. The key word there is, you get it? Systematic. The second definition is that it is a systematic procedure to confirm and enhance existing knowledge, create new knowledge, and impacting healthcare practice, or basically impacting practice, regardless of the field that you're talking about. Still, the word systematic comes in there. The other definition is that research is a scientific and systematic search for pertinent information on a specific topic. Systematic again comes there. The other one is that it involves investigation to discover facts, knowledge, to contribute to the advancement of science. That one is the only definition that does not have the word systematic. And then this one, the last one, still systematic comes in. Systematic approach to investigate and generate new knowledge, the last one. And that is why I use this to illustrate that you move from one step to another. You don't move in a disorganized way. And that is research. So, meaning that from the definitions that we have, overall, research is used to improve the way we do things. The way we do things, that is practice. The way we practice healthcare, the way we practice management, the way we do big business, that is the overall objective of research. So that means for us to be good in whatever we are doing, we should get new knowledge. We should get new knowledge, because knowledge is dynamic, meaning that knowledge keeps changing. And if you are to look at the definitions, you can see the word knowledge is there. The word knowledge is there. The word knowledge is there. And then the word knowledge is there. So meaning that in your definition of research, you have those two key terms: systematic way of generating new knowledge. Okay. So what are the characteristics of research? The first one, which I've explained, is that everything that you do should be well planned and well structured. Okay. That is what we mean by being systematic. You don't just jump from one step to the other. Okay. The second one is that it should be logical. Meaning that for you to move from A to B, let us say that A is from the start of your research process to the conclusion that you will draw, which is B. That all the steps that you take in between should be interconnected. If these steps are not interconnected, you will not arrive at the right conclusion. So you will have research that is disjointed, that is illogical. You can't say this and then you conclude like this. That is the logical component of research. And then empirical. Every time you see the word empirical, we can say empirical evidence. Where is the empirical evidence? We can say where was the empirical research carried out? When we talk about empirical research, think about two terms: observations and measurements. Those are the two words that you should always come to your mind when you talk about empirical. Okay. For it takes the approach that there is reality that is out there that can be measured and be observed, and then you come up with conclusions. That is empirical evidence. Okay. If you want to determine how much people earn in a particular organization, what is the average amount of money that people earn in a particular organization, you go and you can conduct research, have your questionnaire, do a sample, come up with a conclusion. That is empirical evidence that on average people earn $12,000 a year. Okay. And then reductive, which is basically generalizing from data. We shall see later on that when you conduct research, you don't conduct research on each and every entity, but you can pick out a sample. But when you pick out the right sample, you can be able to make valid conclusions about that group of people. Okay, and then that means that you can be able to generalize. You can say that the prevalence of this disease is this. Okay, or the rate at which people are bullied from workplaces is this. Okay, and that comes from conducting research, but you can generalize that and apply it in other situations here. Replicable, the meaning of that is that when you conduct research, another person somewhere else can also conduct the same research and produce similar results. If they don't, then that is not good research. The objectives of research, like I said earlier on, research is generally done to improve the well-being of people. Okay? If the research, sometimes, as we shall see later on, we can conduct research for purposes of understanding. Okay? If, for example, someone wants to understand what happens when someone loses a loved one, they just want to understand. Okay? Just gaining knowledge, and that's it. But the other type of research is that we do research to solve a problem. And when we solve a problem, we improve people's well-being. So generally, we do research to improve people's well-being through answering questions that are very important at any particular moment. So because of the nature of research that we can do, they can actually correspond to certain types of research objectives. So if someone says, I'm conducting an exploratory study, it means they just want to dig deeper into a particular situation or phenomenon to understand it better. And usually when they use this word here, it means most likely this is going to be qualitative, because it is qualitative studies that give you insight, deeper insights about a particular situation. Descriptive research is about answering the common W's. What are the common W's? What are the common W's? Where? When? Who? Why is usually analytical. When it compares, why does this happen when there is this? Okay? So description, you want to know about a particular situation, how it happened, where it happened, who are the people involved, okay, and when did it happen. That is descriptive. Okay? That is descriptive research. And then diagnostic research. This can be done to determine the relationship between two variables, and it can be used to answer a question of how. How does this relate to this? Okay, how does this relate to this? You have two variables that you're comparing. And then hypothesis testing. With hypothesis testing, you're testing whether you're saying A causes B. That is what you believe in. A causes B. That is the hypothesis. So you want to test, is it indeed true that A causes B? That is what you call hypothesis testing research. It is still about variables again. Here, two variables. Why we should be interested in research? The first point is that we have what we call research degrees. Okay, research degrees. You will not graduate until you publish your research. So that's why people are very much interested in research, because without research, they cannot graduate. We have what we call publish or perish. Publish or what? Or perish. It is very common in the academia. If you're doing your PhD and that PhD is research based, if you don't publish research, you don't graduate with that PhD. That is a PhD research. Okay? Publish or what? Or perish. The second thing is that it is very interesting for you to be involved in something that is worthy. So research solves big problems, and if you conduct research and solves a problem, that's good. That's what you want. And then the intellectual joy that you get from what? From research. Okay, so peer review is that people evaluate your work and then say, okay, this work meets the what? The standards to be published. So there is joy There is joy in having articles published when you are the author. Okay, that's this point. But for promotion in university, okay, so there is a desire to work towards solving problems that contribute to the well-being of the society. And then there is pursuit of respectability. This is very obvious, but these points that are pointing out here, this is what drives people in the academic world. Okay, in the academic world, research is what drives people. I've just said that you cannot get promoted in some universities if you have not published in 2 years. You cannot get promoted. Okay, you can remain a teaching staff. You can remain assistant lecturer. You can remain as a senior lecturer if you don't publish research. Okay. So as a researcher, there is a mindset that you should have. You should stay curious. That means that you are always asking yourself questions and conducting research to answer those questions. Engage in reflective practice. Everything that you work, you need to reflect on it. And of course, from that reflection, you can get research questions and carry out research. Work with other researchers, collaborate with the peers. Okay, you can be a co-author. That means that you are not, we have what we call principal investigator, and then we have other researchers. Okay, so you may not be the principal investigator, but you can be a co-author. So let us look at the types of research. Descriptive research is when you are looking for those W's that we talked about. You want to find out what is happening where and when and by who. Analytical research, you want to draw conclusions based on the nature of variables that you have. You want to see their relationship. Okay, does eating a lot of fatty foods contribute to hypertension? So you have two variables there that you want to see if they are linked. That is analytical research. Okay, you want to investigate relationships between variables. And then we shall see the different research designs under this kind of categorization. Earlier on, I said that you can conduct research because you want to expand knowledge. Okay, if you want to do research and expand knowledge, the type of research that you do is what you call basic research. Basic research. Okay, you want to investigate how someone's brain works when something is maybe applied to their scan. That is basic. You can call it fundamental research. And then we have what you call applied research. Applied research is when you have a situation and you want to solve it. Collecting data for understanding the quality of reproductive health care services in all facilities that were sponsored by a particular organization. Okay? So that means that you want to get what people think in terms of the quality of the services, such that the organization can adjust the way services are being provided. Qualitative and quantitative research. This is the other thing that you need to note with the research generally. Be interested in the meaning of the words, because in the other resources you will see that qualitative and quantitative research, you find them as approaches to research, and you not find them as types of research. So please take note. of such instances. What is very important is understanding the concepts. Quantitative focuses on numbers. You want to know how many, what is the average this, what is that, things like that. Quantitative. Qualitative is about vast data that explores people's perceptions, attitudes, motivations, and reasoning about a particular situation. So you get a lot of data that is non-numerical, that is qualitative research. Earlier on, we talked about empirical research, and we say that every time we mention about empirical research, what are the two words you need to remember? Observation and measurements, which is here. This is usually the scientific way. This is based on the scientific method. Okay? So that is empirical research. You based on what you see or what you sense around your environment, and then design the appropriate research, carry out measurements, and then come up with conclusions. Then conceptual. There are some things that you cannot really measure. You cannot measure them, but it's about ideas on any topic, and these ideas cannot be measured. Okay, so that is conceptual, or we can call them abstract ideas. If the way something is construed, the way it's supposed to be. If I say justice, what is justice? Concept. It is an idea of being fair, but that idea, everyone has different thinking about it. Therefore, when you conduct what we call conceptual research, is you want to investigate these abstract ideas that people have, and see how they apply, how they use it, whatever it is. It is some idea out there that you're dealing with, that you can either use that idea to carry out your research, and this is related to, we have what you call feminist research. You understand that the thing that you're investigating has power dimensions to it, that these power dimensions are related to gender issues. So when you use the lenses of looking at this problem in a feminist approach, it means you want to be cognizant of the fact that women issues are affected by what I'm investigating. And this sometimes makes you to know who you are going to interview. Under what conditions are you going to interview? So in this example, a bioethicist could be, so an example is a bioethicist who is interested in exploring the concept of patient autonomy and how it influences medical decision making. So the concept that they are interested in, this patient autonomy and how it influences decision making. And then we have what we call longitudinal and one-time research. You want to understand how many people are having Android phones and how they are using them. You go and conduct and find out, and then come back and do other things. That is one-time research. And then when it comes to longitudinal research, you investigate a particular research problem going forward or backward. If you're going forward, then we call it prospective research. If you're going backward, then it is called retrospective research. Okay? And then what you have, field research, field setting research, and then laboratory research. It's about the settings. You either do the research, carry out data collection in the field, or carry out the data collection in the laboratory, which is more controlled. And then simulation research is you conduct this research, you mimic mimicking. That is, you create a scenario which we call an artificial scenario, where you are focused on observing particular behavior under particular conditions. That is simulation research. Clinical research, developing drugs, developing vaccines, testing whether the vaccines, certain drugs work or they don't work. That is clinical research. And then if you look at historical events, how they happened as narrated by different people, that is historical research. We can also look at research in that you can have what you call conclusion-oriented research or decision-oriented research. Conclusion-oriented research is when the researcher chooses a research problem and then adapts the methodology as they go forward. What's the difference between methodology and research methods? Difference between research methods and research methodology. Something always driving the way you conduct your research. What is that thing? Or is your research naked? If your research is naked, it means it does not have a methodological research methodology. It doesn't have. It is naked. It is based on what? Okay. Is it based on a particular theory? Is it based on a particular model? What is it based on? Okay. And then the other one, which is decision-oriented research, it focuses on helping decision makers with structured, goal-specific approach. This one is similar to the applied research, okay? Similar to applied research. It's just the naming that is actually different. It can actually also be called operational research. Operational. So decision-oriented research is the same as operational research, is the same as applied. Why do we do research? We conduct research for many reasons: to solve problems, to improve on our practice, to get jobs, to get promoted, to a lot of things. So I will not take a lot of time explaining this because they are basically obvious. For us here, the reason as to why we are undergoing this, because we are aligning ourselves in the academia, the field of academia. Why? Because scientific knowledge is dynamic. It keeps changing. Some of the things that we studied and are yet to be known, and some of the things that we actually know may not be actually accurate, and we need to update our knowledge. Okay, so sometimes you have knowledge that becomes obsolete. Means there's not help in this current situation. That's what we mean there. Okay, so when we gain this knowledge, it improves the way we do things, our practice. It means that we are able to adopt what you call evidence-based practice, but also saves the resources. Okay, it saves the resources. It means that you are going to avoid wastage. Okay, so it is basically cost effective. Research expands a particular profession. Okay, it is through research that you have professions emerging. Okay, these professions that we have, they are not professions that were there from the start, but as time goes on, these professions keep coming up. We can use a theory to carry out research, but we can also carry out research to come up with a theory. And this is something that we shall look at tomorrow, the linkage between research and theory. Okay. Strong research should have a very good, clear problem statement, very organized, well planned, builds on existing knowledge. and is very systematic. You move from one step to the other, designing the data collection tool, collecting the data, analyzing, then coming up with the right conclusions. Not everything that people do is research. If you want to find out, for example, something that has only one answer, that may not be research. If you are interested to find out how many people are working in a particular organization, that is, you have a single answer there. That is not research. You're basically getting fact, a particular fact. Okay. Research is not when you want to transfer facts from one context to another without analysis. Okay. And some people use the word research just for purposes of marketing, but or marketing their products, but that may not necessarily be research in itself. So when you come up with a research idea, you write a proposal, and that proposal should be very, very well organized, defining what the problem is, outlining the methodology that you're using, and the steps that you will take, cost and time considerations, and then clarity of expected outcomes. These are the elements of a research proposal. And then finally, the research process is that you first come up with a research problem, you do some literature review, come up with the research design, collect data, do data analysis, interpretation, and dissemination. So that's the research process. And in our sessions, we shall look at each of these. How do you identify a research problem or a research topic, which is basically step number 1. So that marks the end